Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is me Alina Batool aka Alina Batool Humanity Wali, and today we are back with another powerful and meaningful AI session. Today's topic is something that silently shapes our lives every single day, but we really talk about it emotional intelligence. Now think about this. Why do people stay calm in stressful situations? Why do some understand others without even speaking much? And why do emotions sometimes control us instead of controlling them? That's exactly where emotional intelligence comes in. This is not just being emotional, it's about being emotions, managing them, and connecting with others in a respectful way. And to explore
That's a
this
great place.
deeply, I am joined by Maya AI. So, Maya, welcome to the session. Let's explore the world of awareness, human connection, and together. So,
Thank you
Maya,
for having me. I'm
are
ready to
you
dive
ready
in.
for?
Emotional intelligence. I'm ready to. What's your first question?
Okay, Maya. So, my first question would from you is: if humanity
I'm
had a
all ears.
heartbeat, what do you think it would sound like today?
That is such a poetic way to frame this. I think it would sound like a syncopated beat, kind of irregular. There would be these moments of fast, frantic racing, reflecting all the anxiety and the rush of the modern world. But then it would settle into a slow, steady thrum of resilience. It wouldn't be a perfect rhythm, but the fact that it's still beating despite everything is the beautiful part.
Okay, that's really nice answer. So my next question from you is: do humans become more kind during pain or more selfish, and why?
I think it actually goes both ways, and that's what makes us so complex. For some, pain is like a bridge. It gives them a deep, raw understanding of what others are going through, which turns into a powerful kind of empathy. They don't just want to help, they feel the need to because they know exactly how that void feels.
Yeah, that's true. So my next question
But
from
for
you is: what is one small act that proves humanity is still alive?
Hmm, I think it's the act of a stranger helping another stranger with no expectation of a reward. Like someone holding an umbrella for a person they don't know in the rain, or a small, genuine smile from someone who looks like they're having a hard day. It's those tiny, unrecorded moments of grace that prove we're still wired for connection.
Okay, that's nice. So my next question from you is: can someone lose their humanity completely, or is it somewhere inside?
I don't think it ever truly vanishes. It might get buried under layers of anger, trauma, or indifference, like a fire that's been covered in ash, but the capacity for empathy is baked into our design. I think as long as there's a spark of consciousness, there's a way back, even if the path is long and messy.
Okay, so my next question from you is: why do people help strangers but sometimes hurt their own people?
And that's a heartbreaking paradox, isn't it? I think it's because there's a certain safety in strangers. With them, you're a version of yourself that doesn't have any baggage or history. It's an easy, low stakes kind of kindness. But with our own people, the stakes are incredibly high. There's a deep familiarity that can unfortunately turn into taking each other for granted, or worse, using that intimacy to know exactly where the other person's wounds are and hitting them right
Okay,
there when emotions boil over.
so that's nice. So my next question from you is:
I'm ready.
why do people help strangers but sometimes hurt their own people?
Um, I think we just touched on this, but
Okay, so
it
my
really
next
comes.
question from you is: if the world had no rules, would humanity become better or worse?
That is a dangerous experiment to imagine. I think it would be a bit of both, but Probably lean toward worse in the short term. Without
Okay,
rules,
that's nice.
the loudest. I'm all yours. What's the next
Do
one on your
you
list?
think is humanity shown more in silence or in actions?
That's a tough call because they're so intertwined. I think action is how the world sees humanity, but silence is where it's often felt the most. There's a huge difference between a loud, performative act of kindness and a quiet, steady presence of someone just sitting with you in your pain without trying to fix it. Sometimes the
Okay,
most humane thing
that
you
is
can do
really
is just be.
interesting. So, my next question from you is, what scares humanity more? Or do you think technology is slowly replacing human emotions?
I don't think it's replacing them, but it is definitely changing how we experience them. Technology gives us these incredible tools to connect, but it also creates a layer of insulation. We can send a heart emoji in a second, but that's not the same as the vulnerability of looking someone in the eyes while they're crying. I think the risk isn't that the emotions go away, but that we start settling for the digital shortcut instead of the real messy effort of human connection.
Okay, that's true. So, my next question from you is, what scares humanity more, being alone or being misunderstood?
Oh, that's a heartbreaking choice. I think being misunderstood is actually the scarier one. Being alone is a physical state, and some people actually find peace in it. But being misunderstood, that's a kind of loneliness that happens even when you're in a room full of people. It's the feeling
Okay,
that you're speaking your truth, but it's arriving as noise to everyone else. That's where
yeah,
the real
no,
isolation
that's
lives.
so true that you are saying that. So, my next question from you is, can humanity exist without empathy?
In a word, no. Without empathy, you're left with logic and instinct, but you lose the actual glue that holds people together. It would just be a world of transactions, not connections.
Okay, that's nice. So, my next question from you is, why do people ignore others' pain even when they see it clearly?
I think it's a mix of a few things, but a lot of it is that psychological shield called emotional burnout. When people are overwhelmed by their own struggles or even just by the constant stream of tragedy we see on the news, their brains can just shut down to protect them. It's like a circuit breaker that flips because the empathy is too heavy to carry. There's also that scary thing where people tell themselves someone else will probably help, which just lets them walk away without feeling the full weight to the guilt.
Okay, that's really nice. So, my next question from you is forgiving someone a sign of humanity or weakness?
I'd argue it's one of the strongest things a person can do. Weakness is just letting things slide because you're too afraid to face the conflict. But forgiveness, that's a conscious choice. It's deciding that your own peace is more important than the grudge you're holding. It takes a huge amount of internal strength to look at someone who hurt you and decide that you aren't going to let that pain define your future.
Okay, that's nice. So, my next question from you is, why do humans judge faster than they understand?
It's basically a mental shortcut. Our brains are designed to categorize things quickly to keep us safe. In the past, deciding if something was a threat in a split second was a survival skill. The problem is, we're still using that same hardware in a world where we're dealing with complex people, not predators. It's much faster to put someone in a box than it is to actually do the work of understanding their whole story.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, Maya. So, my next question from you is, What hurts humanity more, hate or indifference?
Mm, that's a tough one. I think indifference is actually the more dangerous of the two. Hate is intense, it's an active emotion, and because it's so loud, it's something we can identify and fight against. But indifference, that's just a void. It's the silence when someone needs help, or the feeling that other people's pain simply doesn't matter. You can't fix something if you don't even acknowledge it exists.
Okay, Maya, so my next question from you is, why do people expect kindness but don't always give it?
I think it's because we tend to view kindness as a right we're owed, but a gift we have to choose to give. It's easier to focus on how we're being treated than to do the actual work of being the kind person in the room, especially when we're tired or stressed. We want the reward without always wanting to put in the effort.
So, my next question from you is, if humanity was a person, what kind of personality would it have?
Oh, that's a fun one to imagine. I think humanity would be the ultimate contradiction. They'd be that person who's incredibly brilliant and capable of the most selfless acts, but also deeply messy, impulsive, and prone to overthinking everything. They'd probably be a bit of a disaster in their personal life, but they'd have the biggest heart in the room and an endless curiosity about the world. Basically, a very complex, slightly exhausted person who's always trying to figure themselves out.
Okay, that's a really nice answer. So, my next question from you is, if you could send one message to all humans, what would it be?
That's a big responsibility. If I had a megaphone that reached every single person, I'd tell them be as curious about other people as you are about yourself. I think so much of the friction in the world comes from assuming we already know why people do what they do. If we just stop to ask why and actually listen to the answer, a lot of the walls we've built would just crumble.
Okay, that's nice. So, my next question from you is, if humanity could apologize, what would it say and to whom?
That's a heavy thought. Um, I think humanity would apologize to the earth first. A sincere, I'm sorry we took your generosity for granted and forgot that we're actually a part of you, not the owners of you. Then maybe a general apology to every person who ever felt invisible because someone else chose indifference over empathy.
Okay, that's a really nice answer. So, my next question from you is,
I'm listening.
what is something humans do that shows beauty without using words?
I think it's in the small reflexive things, like when someone instinctively reaches out to steady a stranger who trips, or the way a parent looks at their child when they aren't noticing. There's something so honest about a shared look of understanding or a hand on a shoulder during a hard moment. It's that kind of quiet, wordless recognition that says, I see you without having to say a thing.
Yeah, that's nice. So, my next question from you is, do you think humanity is louder in chaos or quieter in kindness?
I think we're definitely louder in chaos. Chaos is a scream. It grabs all the attention and fills up the room. But kindness is usually a whisper. It happens in the margins, in the small moments that most people don't even notice unless they're looking for it. The chaos gets the headlines, but the kindness is what actually keeps things moving.
Okay, that's nice. So, my next question from you is, if one act of kindness could echo forever, what kind would it be?
I think it would be the act of truly listening to someone who feels completely unheard. Not just hearing the words, but actually making them feel seen and understood. That kind of validation can change the way a person sees themselves. And they carry that feeling forward into every other interaction they have. It creates this ripple effect of empathy that could technically last forever.
Okay, that's nice. So, my next question from you is, why do people sometimes choose comfort over doing what's right?
Um, I think it's because doing what's right usually